Hey, what's up? Today we're going to look at a play from the Raiders game, but first we're going to look at a play from the Bears game because the same play we're going to see how it can go right and how it can go oh so wrong. So this is the first one we're going to look at that goes right. We're going to look up here as we always do. Gain of 51. You'll remember this play. So we'll start running it if you don't already. Packers are in 6-11 personnel. That's how I note the extra offensive lineman. They never used to use this with Mercedes Lewis because he was their extra offensive lineman, but they brought in Rasheed Walker here. So you put that as 6 because that's 6 offensive linemen. And then 1 tight end, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers is going to be that personnel group. So this is going to be the throwback screen to Jones. So we'll look at it, run it back, talk about it. We got Toure in jet motion. We got this boot. Looks very familiar. Love off his back foot. Look at that blocking. Beautiful blocking. Set up for Jones. The two men blocking downfield. 2 wide receivers on 1 man. Just beautiful. Can't draw that up better. It's absolutely gorgeous. So what are the keys here that we are looking at? Couple things. All right. So first of all, we're going to have this jet motion from Toure. He's going to release, block up. Actually, let's draw that a little deeper. So release, block up, release, block up. They're going to end up blocking. I think it's just the safeties. I think he ends up becoming part. He's down here, I believe. So it's going to be 2-on-1 up there. The middle part of the line is going to block. Then they're going to release shallow, a little shallower than I'm drawing there, actually. Because they're going to be within 1 yard of the line of scrimmage there. Then you're going to have this bootleg action. So you've got right there, boot. Now this generally looks like what they're going to run off their wide zone look. So it's wide zone block look initially. Then you got the bootleg. Typically when you got the bootleg stuff, you're looking to target, say, an intermediate route roughly there. And then what will happen with Jones on this kind of look is he will meet at the mesh point. He's going to take the handoff, then usually camp out in the flat. Except what's going to happen instead, it's all a trick, a dirty, dirty trick. Love's going to pull up there, throw off his back foot back across the field, hit to a whole bunch of blockers. So that's what we're looking at. Again, kind of the key that we're looking at. This is kind of where it all goes wrong. And the next one is those 3 offensive linemen. So kind of see how they do. Blocking down. We've got Jenkins here. Let's get this little pointer thing here. Jenkins here. He's going to kind of come through, release. You got Myers and Runyon blocking. They're going to release. So we got bootlegged out. Off his back foot here. These guys here are looking for the boot. So they're coming this way. He's holding down the back end here. He's holding down the back for the boot because typically what you'll end up having is a crosser, a shallow, and something deep. So he's looking to take away the deep. You've got these guys on the, you got intermediate, and then he's going to jump the flat for the flat. So looking to cover that, which frees all of that up. So now you've got these 3 blockers out in front. You got Jones here. These 2 guys are downfield blocking there. So now you've got this whole group of guys. By the time Jones gets the ball in his hands, the Bears know what's happening. Ball in his hands. You got 3-on-3 here, 2-on-1 here. Can't draw that up any better. And the blocking is good, and we'll see it from the backside as well. So we've got block there. They know their roles. Block there. You got 2. I think they're going to climb. Jones is going to kind of shoot through. They wall both of those guys off. So you get the turnout here to the inside. You got the wall off here. Jones cut right through the gap. Beautifully done. We won't spend too. I spent more time on that than I intended to. Just the blocking stuff is all beautiful and pretty, but also because what we're going to look at is not nearly that pretty. And sometimes it's good to remember the better times. So here we go. The blocking, we'll look at, again, those 3 in the middle. It's going to be. So Jenkins, Myers, Runyon are going to be leaking out there. See how they kind of leak out? You can see them. You can see it forming over there off the screen. Bam. We'll look at the blocking here. Again, Jenkins going to turn out. Got washing down. Both of those guys washed down. You got 2-on-1. Man, isn't this just a pretty picture? Just a pretty, pretty picture. Oh, and times are beautiful. And Jones just finds the room. Toure and Dobbs driving that man out of bounds. Beautifully done. All right. This is the opposite of that. I mean, trying to run the same thing. There's a couple things going on. Defense is playing differently, whatever. But we're going to have the same kind of look. Just a quick diagram here, or he's going to meet over there. Camp out. He's going to throw it over here. It's all going to go terribly. If you remember, this is the one that it looked initially on the field. They initially called this a catch, and the rest got together and called it incomplete. Rightly so. Hits the turf. So you're going to have the same thing. You got the motion. They're going to should I not click to the next play? They're actually in, I think, 21 personnel here, I believe. That thing up there is wrong. It's going to bother me. Let's go back to that. Yeah. All right, 12 personnel. So you got the motion from Wicks. People in his face. They're coming off a blitz. Throws low. Dylan falls down after catching the ball, which again, it's ended up being ruled correctly incomplete. What goes wrong here? Well, they're trying to do the same thing. Where you've got the middle, I believe it's the middle. Yeah, it's the same middle three. So you're going to be doing the same thing. You've got block, jet block. These three looking to leak out. You got the boot. And then he's going to set up over there. So, I mean, one thing that's different is it's A.J. Dillon, but honestly, I don't think that matters too much here because everything else kind of breaks down. Interior line is the same, I guess, is the same. If a little hobbled, it's still Josh Myers. It's Jenkins in his first game back, and it's Runyon, who was in a walking boot, a few days before the game. So, a little hobbled, but same players, minus Dillon, obviously Rasheed Walker on the backside of that other one. So, we're going to look to see how this happens. First of all, first things first, I should mention the big thing that's happening is their Raiders are bringing pressure off that side. So against a screen, that's usually good. You want to throw against pressure because then if those guys, you're bringing those there, you're removing them. So then you're kind of throwing it past them. They've overrun and the entire purpose of a screen. The trick is you got to get it off. So we got right here, and we're going to watch the blocking. It's a muddled mess for a couple different reasons. So they kind of get hung up. You can see, I mean, the last one, Jenkins was already out. He had already slipped out. They're all caught up. No one's out yet. They're all kind of in this little huddled mass here. They can't quite get out. You see Myers, and we'll see this on the back angle, is trying to do that and then get up, except that Jenkins right next to him gets pushed back. So Myers, instead of being able to release vertically, it's already pushed back, and it's a jumbled mess. You got pressure coming here from the Raiders. You got Myers kind of running into his guy. So instead of kind of climbing out, he's got to go behind because there's penetration there, and he's getting pushed back. So you can't quite get the release you want from Myers, which then puts Myers on a collision course with A.J. Dillon. So spacing's already messed up. Myers then trips over A.J. Dillon. Even all that being said, all right, so then Love has to, instead of being the last time he was here, he's rolling out. You've got this guy coming here. It goes those guys in your face. He pulls up a little shallower than normal. Guys in his face. Same thing. Throw off your back foot. It's a little low. Okay, let's say, for the sake of argument, this ball's on target. All right, you've got Myers on the ground, just feet up. Yeah, it's fun to laugh at things like that. I find humor in that sometimes. But this is not really his fault. Again, his release is all screwed up, and then he kind of runs into Dillon because there's the spacing's all weird. So I'm not putting this all on Myers, but he's on the ground. But even if you look beyond that, it's not terrible, right? It's not 1-on-2, but it's 2-on-2 down the field. You've got Jenkins able to, potentially wash out a guy here, and you've got a leak out here. Who's that? Running, I guess. That's Running. There's two guys running from the inside. You got two defenders running to the inside. Running should be looking for work. There's no one there. You want to peel back there. You're not blocking both those guys, but you block one. Even if my line looks big enough, you're blocking one of those guys, right? You're peeling up. You're creating some traffic. You still can see a nice path. I think we'll see this from the backside. If he jumps over Myers, he still has a nice path. Not pretty, but still. Jenkins doesn't quite hold the block. Runyon then gets a little confused. We'll see this from the back angle a little bit as well. Instead of trying to turn that guy out initially or trying to seal in, he's looking out. So by the time he turns, he's not in a position to take it. Now, this guy is down here. Runyon's here with no one to block. Just, you could not possibly paint two different pictures. Again, Dillon doesn't catch it. But even if he did, it's set up to get a somewhat decent gain if the blocking's a little better, and it's just not. So we'll watch the middle here, especially Myers right in the middle, because, again, he's trying to kind of release and climb. Jenkins gets pushed back, which then screws up the release, and it all just kind of that's kind of where it all goes. It goes downhill. So right here, he gets shoved a little bit. I'm not sure if that's on Jenkins now that I say it. They're not expecting that slant in, so he gets caught off here. Jenkins is looking out, so he doesn't really get upfield. The spacing is still a little weird. He gets clipped by, I'm going to assume that's what I was going to say. I assume that's Max Crosby. That is Max Crosby. So now Love's here, pressure in his face. There's Dillon. Throw it. Ball hits the ground. Myers is up. But again, if you look at this picture, freeze frame it. Okay. If he stays on his feet, let's back this up a little to when he's on his feet, because I'm going to allow us to dream a little bit here. He's out of the frame. Let's say he stays on his feet. Myers is down. We got Runyon peeling back. We know we got 2-on-2 up top with our wide receivers. You got a nice lane. Catch that, cut in, and you got some room to work. You're not taking that 51 yards, but you got a nice little gain out of that. Instead, Runyon's looking out. He's not blocking. He overruns his block there. Just an absolute mess. So when you look at some of this stuff from this past week, some of it, I think the floor, honestly, I think some of it, I think he called a good game for the most part. I'm probably in the minority there. Stuff like this on paper, man, this looks like this should work. You ran it before. It looked good, but you can see just you got that weird release from Myers and that screws up the spacing. And then you combine that with the lack of downfield blocking by Runyon, not turning in, but looking out and kind of letting a guy run by him. And then ultimately Jordan Love not able to make the throw, and see how all these things combine. So again, you look at this and it's a lot of it's the execution, and you can see the difference in the execution between the Bears game and the Raiders game. It should be no shock to say they look much better in the Bears game. And some of that was because of the defense, and some of that's just how they played, how they executed. So I do still think there's hope. But man, it's funny watching just a few weeks ago and saying, look how much better they were there. So I don't know, but I thought this was an interesting look at these two plays back to back. They were the exact same kind of play in 2 different weeks, and 2 wildly different things that kind of illustrate maybe where they were in week 1, where they are now, and what they have to do to get back there. And it's simple, but it's hard. It's just execution. So I went on it for a little long. I apologize, but thank you all for watching, and I will talk to you later.